So let's talk about fat loss, because that is actually what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk to you guys about like kind of getting started on the fat loss journey, because it's easy to kind of get lost in the woods, lost in the weeds, lost in the woods, when there's so many things to consider, and there's also so much overwhelming and bad information out there, especially on Instagram and TikTok. I'm a personal trainer and I've been a fat loss coach for many years. And the thing is, everybody's fat loss journey is individual, okay? What works for some people may not work for others. So what's gonna be helpful for you is something you can take with you, like a sense of experimentation, like a scientist's perspective, where you're like gonna try some stuff, see what works, make sure that you give it, a good amount of time, when you try stuff. So the first thing to keep in mind when it comes to fat loss, body fat is stored energy, okay? It's stored energy. When you take in more energy than what your body uses, it's probably going to get stored in your body, because your body wants to keep you alive, and your body wants to keep you going in case you end up in a situation where there's not food available. Your body fat is like your battery packs, right? And your body will tap into those battery packs when you put yourself in a situation where you're not eating as much energy as what your body is spending. Okay, so if you want to burn fat, you have to put yourself in a position where your body has to tap into its batteries, okay? And how we do that is mainly through eating a calorie deficit. So we measure the energy that our bodies spend in calories, and we measure the energy that we get from food in calories, okay? And so if you want to burn fat and you have a lot of fat that you want to burn, you need to stay in a calorie deficit, meaning you're eating fewer calories than what your body is burning, okay? So there's a couple of ways that you can do this, and includes exercise and a certain way to eat. The general idea is you want your body burning more calories than what you're eating, okay? That's the general principle. You want your body burning more calories than what you're eating. And you can get into that calorie deficit in a number of different ways. Personally, I find that the best way is to manage what you're eating, because it's very easy to overshoot your calories, right? It's very easy to eat more calories than what your body spends. It's a lot easier to eat more calories than what your body spends than it is to actually like burn off the calories that you eat through exercise. Even if you do like a bunch of cardio, at most, you're probably gonna burn like 200, maybe 300 calories in a moderate intensity, like steady state cardio workout. It's a lot harder to train off those extra calories. So the best thing to do is to actually manage what you eat and become mindful of what you eat. Whether that's through tracking, like you can use MyFitnessPal or some kind of calorie tracking app like that to manage what you eat, to make sure that you are staying within a certain calorie range. Or you can generally follow a model of healthy eating, like the Healthy Plate model or the My Plate model. So what I teach my clients is this. This is a good sort of like general rule of thumb model to follow, and how to build your plate when you eat at every meal or snack. Really going crazy on the veggies. At least half of what you eat should be vegetables, including a good source of protein at every meal or snack, and then limiting your amount of like grains products or starches to like a fourth of what you eat. So that's like a general good rule of thumb that if you start to follow, you can put yourself into a calorie deficit, so long as like you're actually choosing foods that are not very calorie dense. For this, you want to focus on like fresh produce, as close to nature as you can get it type of food. You want to stay away from or limit what you take in of like packaged, highly processed foods, because those are typically going to have more calories in them, and then also they're packed with a bunch of shit that's not really good for your body. So in some way, you need to be managing what you eat and be mindful of what you eat. Whether you're tracking what you eat in MyFitnessPal or an app like that, or using a food diary, like the Clever Fox food diary, where you're writing it out manually. If that's something that you prefer, that's okay. You can follow this or something like this. Or just if you are generally following a Healthy Plate model, doing something to be more mindful of what you're eating and manage what you're eating is crucial for fat loss. I personally like to say to my clients that 80% of fat loss is managing what you eat, okay? Now, some people are able to get their fat loss started by just starting to exercise and getting more active. And that can be really helpful because if you're not used to moving very much, then your body is used to you not burning very many calories. So if you don't change your diet, but you start exercising more, you can get yourself into a calorie deficit because you're getting your body to burn more calories. But this is not always the best way to be successful because what often happens for a lot of people, once they start exercising, especially if they start doing cardio, their appetite goes up. So what happens with some people is like they'll start exercising to burn fat, but then they'll also start eating more because they're more hungry. And they think, oh, I'm exercising a bunch, so I can eat more. And in some cases, that's true. But what happens with a lot of people is like their weight just doesn't move, or even it might start going up because they're eating more and they're not being mindful of what they're eating. And so they're intaking a lot more calories than their body is spending. So that's why I say managing what you eat is the most important thing when it comes to trying to be successful in fat loss. Give me a second. Oh my gosh, why are you borking? So if you're not managing what you eat, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to stay on track in your fat loss. And I know that it is hard to think about tracking your food and, being mindful of what you're eating can kind of seem like it's going to give you an eating disorder or something. I know there's people have a lot of anxiety around food and the thought of like managing their food. But if you really want to burn fat, you have to manage what you eat in some way. And if you do have a history of eating disorders or a disordered relationship with food, then you probably want to work with a professional, whether it's a personal trainer or a nutritionist. I would highly recommend a nutritionist specifically who focuses on eating disorders because you need to fix your relationship with food in order to have success. In order to get yourself eating what you need to eat, in order to reach your goals, you're going to have to manage what you eat. So you're going to have to change your relationship with food in some way. But being mindful of what you eat, you can also, if you don't want to like track and plan for yourself, if that's too much, you can also follow a meal plan. I have a bunch of meal plans on my website for 2,000 calorie and 1,500 calorie diets. So you could go to my website and get there's a bunch of like week-long meal plans that you can follow, and there's a schedule that tells you exactly when to cook and when to eat what. Right? That's another way that you can manage your calorie intake, but that's really crucial for fat loss. And then again, so for fat loss, we want our body burning more calories than what we eat. So managing what you eat is like primary. That's 80% of it. But then you can also exercise in a way that helps get your body burning more calories. And that's where, getting into an exercise program can be very helpful. The type of exercise that I generally recommend for fat loss is going to be cardiovascular exercise, where you're just like moving a lot. I recommend people get up and move for 30 minutes a day minimum, and that's just for general wellness. Getting up and moving, going for a walk or hopping on a cardio machine, doing some steady state cardio, or doing something else that's active, participating in like intramural sports or whatever. Do something that's going to get you up and moving, because the more that you engage your muscles and the longer that you're active, the more calories you're going to burn. So you're going to get your body burning more calories that way. And then finally, I also recommend doing muscle building resistance training, because muscle building resistance training is one, it's high volume typically. So you're moving the muscles more, and the more that you move the muscles, the more calories you're going to burn. But also the process of building muscles is incredibly calorie expensive. It's expensive for your body to build muscle. And then having more muscle is more calorie expensive to maintain. So this is a great way for you to boost the amount of calories that your body is burning by doing the type of resistance training that it takes to build some muscle. So those are my 3 big things that I recommend for clients when they are coming to me and they say specifically that they want to lose weight or they want to burn fat. First of all, I'm going to be really a stickler about what they're eating. They need to either be tracking what they eat, or in MyFitnessPal or in my Trainerize app, or they need to be keeping a journal and sharing that with me, or they need to be following a meal plan that I create for them that has them eating the amount of calories that they need to eat in order to have a calorie deficit. And we figure that out together. So that's number one, okay? Or they may be just generally following the healthy plate model just to like kind of clean up healthy habits. So that is huge. So if you're trying to lose fat but you're not paying attention to what you're eating, then and you're struggling to burn fat, that's probably why, and that's what you need to fix. And then in terms of exercise, I would recommend just to get your body burning even more calories, to put you even further into a calorie deficit, do cardio. Cardio is great. Increase the amount of cardio if you're already doing it. Be on the lookout for signs of overtraining. And then in terms of your resistance training, focus on muscle building to combat the loss of muscle that's probably going to happen if you are in a steep calorie deficit, and to also just get your body burning more calories. So those are my recommendations to get you started. Of course, there's more, but those are like the 3 things that like you want to have in place at the very least. And then once those 3 things are in place, then we can like tweak things here and there, but get those things covered first.